hard question. I don't know if I'm naturally talented. I know I worked hard to learn what I've learned on my skateboard. It didn't come easy. Being good at something takes a certain perspective or mindset. I think we're all physically capable of the same things though. We're all built the same, man. Other than our wiring here, I would say that P-Rod is somebody that I would consider very talented and gifted. Naturally, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a trick question. If you're asking about me, I don't know if I'm naturally talented. I think I work hard for what I accomplish. He doesn't, well, he has slept with us, yeah. It's just like a pet dog. They're like super affectionate, so he'll like come up and like put his head on your shoulder and like, fall asleep on you. He's fucking awesome, man. I love my pig, Ollie the pig. I don't know if we'll call it the Ironman, like, they have an annual Ironman event in Hawaii that's pretty prestigious. I guess it was like an extreme challenge contest. Kayaking, paddleboarding, obstacle courses, downhill mountain biking, cross-country run. I hadn't ran since my knee surgery. I didn't want to test my knee out before I had to. So one of the things was like sand sprints, in the soft sand. Right away, I won that event, and that was the one I was most worried about. So once I won that, I was like, I got this thing, no problem. It was $100,000 for first place in this event, and I needed the dough, man. Bad. And they paid me the money too. I thought it was gonna be some bullshit where I didn't get the check. It was awesome. 20 plus years of skateboarding train. A what? Rephrase that. Oh, a rap group. God, that was so foreign to my ears, I couldn't hear you. I don't have a rap group, no. Sometimes on some of the music I make have rapped on it, but I personally don't have a rap group, no. It is a funny question. I thought I kind of heard that and I was like, that's not what he's asking me, that's just too off the wall. That's so funny, man. That's such a cliche thing. I've always appreciated Slayer, and I think that metal is awesome, but I don't eat, sleep, and breathe metal and or Slayer. At home, I play a lot of acoustic guitar. I find myself actually listening to stuff that people would probably not even believe most of the time. Whatever. I'm not that proud of that. Knowing what's gone down that, like Nollie down it, like who gives a fuck? That's like prehistoric. I'm just a realist. Like if I'm not out there grinding out on the level these guys are doing it right now, I'm not gonna sit here and claim I am. And I've enjoyed the participation that I've had in the street and the progression of street skating. And I enjoy doing it when I get a chance, I love street skating. I love just blazing around and not having to fucking skate with gear on and just going and getting in a car and going to this spot or that spot. I just have other things that I'm kind of like focused on and they're convenient to me. So I've been sticking with the things that, make sense the most at the moment. There's many reasons of why I wouldn't have wanted to make it and why I did make it. So I was definitely insecure of the story not captivating people in a way that was more interesting than the skateboarding itself. It's a personal thing for me. It touches in some areas that are kind of a little bit uncomfortable. I wouldn't have probably had the inspiration to do it if I didn't have the relationship I had with Jake. And I knew that Jake could tell my story correctly. I knew that Jake would also be passionate about telling this story himself because he was there for this. He witnessed a lot of the story himself. A lot of the footage that's archived was shot by him. It also pays homage back to a guy that gave us the insight to be who we are today, which was Mike T. So there's a lot more to the movie than just Jake making a movie solely about me and it being a glory film about my skate career. It does feel weird, man. It feels really awkward. And that was something I had to digest getting into this. But Jake and his team of guys at Bandito Brothers are super, experienced in doing these projects. They said from their perspective that this movie had all of the components that they needed to make. They thought even, like an award-winning documentary. I guess, at a certain point I kind of threw the towel in and said, if you guys really believe this is gonna succeed, I'll waive all my issues with it, But I don't think it would have happened if it wasn't with these guys. I know that for my mom, it shines a light on not all of her, all of her demons, but it definitely shines a light on, stuff that I know she's struggled with for years, and I know how painful that is for her. That's hard for me to watch, But at the same time, I know it's healing for her because she's owning it. There's so many little things that go in, the details in it that affect me differently than most people that see it. The stuff about my mom is so emotionally fragile. It's amazing that she's as together as she is mentally still considering. I thought my mom would be more like Ozzy Osbourne at this point, My mom did some crazy shit. you know how people exaggerate and things get blown out of proportion. It's just human nature. I would say there's probably some truth to it, but don't believe everything you hear, you know? I got picked on a lot as a kid, so it made me a little bit fiery. If you picked on me, you definitely were gonna get a wrath. And hopefully people go, oh, fuck it, I don't wanna mess with this kid, he's just too much to deal with, you know? And then eventually people give up and then accept you. Nobody knew shit. I came into the skate world, I mean, I was already fighting for my acceptance and respect every day in my household for my brother, and then the shit that was going on with my mom and her boyfriends. It was like I was in a war zone everywhere I turned. When I started making my way through the amateur series and into my pro career, like, you know, guys like Ben Schroeder and Reese Simpson. You know, Reese I grew up at Del Mar Skate Park with, so I was pretty shocked that he was on the train, but like guys like Steve Schneer and just the list goes on, but like would just go out of their way to fuck with me, you know, and I don't think they realized I wasn't some like kid that grew up in like some, you know, padded environment that was spoiled, that just had some talent on a skateboard. So I don't think anyone really knew who I was. So I got a big heart, dude, so it's not in my nature to be that uncool, like, or much of an asshole unless I feel like it's coming at me from somewhere. I'm definitely defensive and I will stand my ground, and I have a bit of pride and ego when it comes to, you know, feeling disrespected. You know, as I've gotten older, I've gotten wiser with that as well too. So I think as a kid, yeah, I was just, you know, wired to deal with conflict in a way that was not so pleasant, you know. Jim Gray, when I first turned pro, put out a board, and it was like an Acme board, and it said like another whiny day, and it had like this like cartoon drawing of like this kid, and it was like normal kid, and then it like progresses to the kid, and he's in at the end like in a cardboard box smoking crack. This board came out, and then I saw Jim Gray at the Back to the City Street contest, and I don't know what year, 94 maybe. I was maybe 17 or 18, but I called him out and was like, motherfucker, let's go, you son of a bitch. And I was ready to fight him, you know, and he was a bigger guy than me, but I didn't give a shit, dude. I was ready to go. I was so pissed off. Then eventually he came up and was like, dude, I'm so sorry about that. And so we worked it out. I like Jim Gray. He's a good guy, actually. Hosoi to me was like a rock star. I looked at him like he was, you know, as big as any mainstream star. He was a celebrity to me. So hanging out with him was a big deal. We had this one contest in St. Petersburg, Florida, where Hosoi, it was Cinco de Mayo that day. Hosoi was always rolling around with the ghetto blaster on his shoulder. So we're in a Denny's, really quiet in there. We hear this like mariachi music, like Spanish music playing, and we're like, what the fuck is that? And it's blaring, and everyone in the restaurant's like, look over, Hosoi's like spandex, leather jacket on, no shirt under the leather jacket, ghetto blaster, fucking 20 headbands on, shades. I was so wowed by his coolness that night. Nobody has a touch like Hosoi, man. He's like the Fonz.
Slash actually was the first one who was like, man, he's like, Riley skating is insane right now. We should.
I'm like burning. If I can do that, then if I get like this pathway that opens with all my heart, I'm gonna make something of it.